Here we are with some more Cinderella phenomenon. Oh my god, last chapter was 100% what made me go all in with Karma. I'm all about it. I hope I haven't already made too many bad choices to get me a bad ending, but I might have because I really did terribly at the very beginning of this. But it seems like I'm back on it now, so fingers crossed, and let's get cracking. Chapter 6, matchmaking. That is exactly what I want to see. Thank you. You really are a handful, but a delightful handful. His words keep repeating in my head. I cannot stop hearing his voice and feeling his lips on my hand. My face feels warm, and every time I think about his words, my heartbeat feels unsteady. Me too, girl. I really have to stop thinking about that. Karma is karma, and he puts on that overly polite act with everyone. But then I'm pretty sure I've never seen him do something like that with another person. I'll just go downstairs and stop thinking about all of this. I need to tell Parfait and Delora what happened. Because of the time I'd returned to the Marchen yesterday, I never spoke to anyone about what happened. Maybe someone's downstairs. Someone usually is. I leave my room and make my way downstairs to the reception. It's quiet when I enter, but not as silent as I thought it would be. Karma is sitting at one of the tables speaking quietly with Parfait and Delora. His injured hand is sitting on the table, bandaged. I cannot help but stare at it, my heart plummeting. His injury is my fault. So you have yet to hear the entire story? No, I'm afraid I'm not quite privy to the information Walt has. Is that correct? Walt has been directly involved in this far longer than you have. What about Waltz? Oh. Princess, you're up early. They all turn to look at me as I stand at the table. Karma still looks tired and is not in his dress. He looks somber, but still smiles at me. April, how nice of you to join us. When did he start saying my name without my title? April, you've run into a lot of different mishaps this week, haven't you? I thought you would be stubbornly avoiding work. Instead, you go out of your way to get yourself in trouble. This involves me directly. How would I not be curious? You've also been irresponsible, sneaking out without any of us knowing. I have the freedom to do whatever I want to. I even wore a cloak to... Oh no, the cloak. I left it at the bar. I feel a nudge at my arm and Karma is holding out my cloak with a tired smile. You went back to get this. When? Yesterday, when you were still in bed. You've been running yourself dry these last few days, Karma. It's nothing. Thank you. What's this? Our ice princess is thanking someone. Why is that something so strange? Oh, come now. She's not so icy. April is more fire than anything. She's filled with unbridled passion and confidence. Confidence that has gotten me nowhere so far. Don't look so dour, April. You've become quite the accomplished woman. Karma gestures toward me and I flush, unsure what he is talking about. Then I notice Delora's eyes are on me too. Oh, Parfait. Do you see that? I did a good deed! What are they looking at? I reach down to grab my necklace and then pause. I cannot stop the gasp that leaves my lips. I did a good deed! Ha 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 ha! When did this happen? Princess, you didn't realize that there was an extra piece to your necklace? Congratulations, Princess April. You are a step closer to breaking your curse. I feel proud. I only ever felt this way around Mother. She did me a great favor yesterday. If not for April, I might have been suffocated beneath a pile of very excited women. Wait, helping Karma escape was a good deed? She was selfless. He's not even mentioning the injury he got protecting me. Parfait and Delora are both smiling, but the cheerful mood does not last long. What were you all talking about before I came down? About your kidnapping. Well, kidnappings. Both of them. It looks like we have a serious problem on our hands. What do you know about this? What does Waltz know that I don't? Princess, it's more about what everyone else knows that you don't. What everyone else knows? I feel anger begin to simmer inside me. Even though he looks apologetic, he says it so casually. What are you all hiding from me? Let's gather everyone later, shall we? I think Waltz might want to be here for this too. What does Waltz have to do with any of it? Be patient, Princess. You've already waited this long. What's another few hours? Ugh! I have no choice but to agree when Parfait and Delora refuse to say anymore, but I am not happy about it. I spend the rest of my time doing idle chores around the tavern. I do a round of sweeping with Mr. Broom and mindlessly organize some of the bottles. I cannot believe everyone knows something about me that I don't. But now, I'll find out the whole story. Maybe it will answer some of the questions I have. But why are they keeping things about me a secret to begin with? Woof. Delora gathers everyone in the tavern to discuss the kidnappings. I decide to sit in between Waltz and Karma. So we have a story to tell. Story time, huh? I don't suppose this would be a romance, would it? Rumble. How can you stand to make comments like that constantly? How can you stand to live a lie? The two glare at each other across the table. Delora silences them. Delora starts with a story about the Great War, one that I have already heard so many times I can recite it myself. What does any of this have to do with me? Because of the fairy tales, witches like myself are punished for simply existing. Our leader, the Tenebrarum Bearer, was a kind witch that was overtaken by the grief that our people suffered. She was driven so far into madness that she created the fairy tale curse to punish humans and make them suffer as the witches had. And when that wasn't enough, she committed the ultimate taboo. She killed a human. I tried to stop her, but by the time I thought to act, it was too late. Knowing that Delora and Parfait were involved in the Great War makes it seem more real. But wasn't the Tenebrarum Bearer killed? How can the fairy tale curse continue to spread if she is dead? I believe that the Tenebrarum Bearer sacrificed the last bit of her life to continue powering the Tenebrarum, all to ensure that the remaining witches could continue spreading the fairy tale curse. Is none of this ringing a bell for you? What are you talking about? She really did erase your memories. Erase? The witch who died, the Tenebrarum Bearer, was your mother, Princess April. What? Shock! For some reason, I turned to look at Karma, who's one of the only people who doesn't look away from me. I grew up outside of this kingdom, but even I knew of the terrible witch, Hildir. You expect me to believe any of this? Mother was... She wasn't a witch. I would remember that. Well, if you had memories of the war and the years before that. Under Hildir's rule, the palace was a dark place. The king didn't have any real power until Hildir was defeated. That goes for the rest of us, too. We were slaves to Hildir. Delora's eyes flickered a waltz. It's the truth. Waltz knows because he is also a witch. He experienced Hildir's command over the witches firsthand as well. Waltz is a witch? Shock! Sorry for keeping it a secret, Princess. It's not as if I can use much magic anymore anyway, not when I'm cursed. This is just another secret of many. It seems like everyone is hiding something. Everyone was freed after Hildir's reign. Witches, fairies, and humans alike. The king was even able to marry Ophelia, the woman he always truly loved. So it has always been Ophelia that he truly loved? Was that the reason I never felt any love from him? Because I was my mother's daughter? He gave up on me. No, dear, I don't think he gave up on me. My voice is too loud in the reception area. I feel it crack beneath the pressure and suddenly I want to cry. But Mother told me so many times not to cry. The king gave up on me. But Mother didn't. Mother would tell me this was all a lie. She would tell me not to trust anyone. They must be lying. I turn to Karma. For some reason, I trust him more than I trust Delora or Parfait. Is this the truth? I was told the story of Hildir and her daughter, April. They said you were the picture of elegance, that you shared your mother's icy nature. Ugh. But I do not think that is true at all. If Hildir was ice, then you most certainly are a warm fire. If my mother was a witch, then what does that make me? You're a witch as well, whether or not you were ever taught to use magic. On your upcoming birthday, you will become the Tenebrarum bearer. Do you realize how ridiculous all this sounds? Me, a witch. The king never said anything. And now I cannot even ask him if this is the truth because I'm cursed. Why would you even curse me? We did not want a repeat of the tragedy, April. I sat on your shelves for almost a year, princess. There was ice in your heart, and if you had inherited the Tenebrarum in that state, who knows what would have happened. Then why didn't you just tell me any of this? Delora and Parfait look at each other before dropping their gazes to the ground. If we had told you before, would you have even bothered to listen? The king must have tried to do the same thing, and look how that turned out. You shut out everyone who ever tried to tell you about Hildir's true nature. That is probably true. Even now I'm having trouble believing that they are telling me the truth. The whole world feels as if it is collapsing around me. I need to escape. I need to go out and be somewhere else, but why are the witches looking for me? You are the true heir to the Tenebrarum. No doubt the evil witches want you on their side so they can continue wreaking havoc in Ungiel with the fairy tale curse. The men that were looking for April were not witches, though. They were knights. Perhaps the witches and the knights are working together. This must be part of Alcaster's scheme to steal the throne. What are you talking about? The reason why Garland and I left the Order of Caldera was because the king did not believe us about Alcaster's coup. How would he know of the princess's identity, though? Anyone who wasn't a witch, a fairy, or isn't cursed should be able to remember her. But now we know it is not just the witches looking for the princess, but the knights of the Order of Caldera as well. They definitely have a description of her from someone. April. Karma reaches out a hand to touch my shoulder, and I flinch back before standing up. I cannot speak about this now. I want to be alone. Let her go. She needs a lot of time to think. Oh no. I leave everyone sitting at the table as I try to process the whirling thoughts in my mind. Hildir, my mother, the only person I ever thought loved me was the Tenebrarum bearer, a witch, the first witch to kill a human, the witch that started the fairy tale curse. All this time I thought Mother was the only one who cared, but what if she never did? I stay in my room a long time, trying to process everything I've been told. Hi, Karma, look at you. You handsome man. Days go by before I decide to leave the tavern again to watch Karma practice with the knights. These last few days I felt hollow. Maybe seeing the normal practices will help me feel better. Maybe it will make things feel like nothing's changed. When I arrive at the forest, however, only Karma is standing in the clearing. He's staring through the trees as if he sees something there, but his expression is solemn, almost sad. Eventually he sighs, shaking his head before turning in my direction. Look at him, he's in his handsome man outfit. April. I prepare myself for a response, but find that no words come to mind. I have not spoken to Karma since the talk about Mother and witches, and any of the ease I felt with him has slipped away. Still, I came here on my own, and I cannot just stand here being mute. I say the first thing that comes to mind. Where are Jurian and Garland? I'll only train with Garland. Jurian is on patrol duty tonight. He'll be here later. I just came early. It seems you did too. April, are you okay? I'm sorry I haven't been by to see you. It's not as if you owe that to me. I don't owe it to you, but I truly wanted to. I've just been busy these last few days scouting the town for information. As much as I want you to come with me, why would you ever have wanted to pair up with someone like me anyway? Oh, Why, Princess, that's because I'm bitter and cold. And even though I want to change, all I can think about is myself. But now I want to change because I do not want to be the same as my mother. Isn't that selfish? Maybe so, but I believe you are being selfish for all the right reasons. An entirely selfless person can't survive in this world. Before we can make others happy, we have to be happy ourselves. Happy ourselves. Yes, an angry person holds resentment toward everyone, and it mars whatever good deeds they seek to do. That is why I cannot complete my good deeds. Wrong. You've already got one done. Recognizing the need for change is always a good thing, April. Regardless of the motivation, you are trying to become a better person. That is what matters. He takes a step toward me, and then puts his hands on my shoulders and leans down until I can look right into his eyes. Karma's serious expression startles me as much as his touch. It is never too late for anyone to change. You taught me that. What? How could I have taught Karma anything? Do you mind if I tell you a story, April? He's standing too close. Oh God. I feel like it's too early for me not to move, and to encourage sexy times. I feel like that's the wrong choice. You know what? If the princess is saying he's standing too close, I'm gonna take that as the sign of what she needs to do. I take a step away from him and Karma's hands fall from my shoulders. He sighs out. The story better be just as dramatic as mine. Thank you, April. For what? Oh, thank God! I thought for sure I was doing something wrong. For agreeing to listen, and for what you just did. Stepping away from him. Was I distracting him? Once upon a time, in a land far, far away, there lived a crown prince from a kingdom called Brugantia. Brugantia is one of the neighboring kingdoms, so this isn't make-believe. His name was Claude Adric Rinaldi Matthias Almonte. Claude Idric Rinaldi Matthias Almonte. But because the name was such a mouthful, he settled for an acronym as a nickname, and at least around the palace, where it was acceptable. Karma! Aww! Claude Idric. Karma. Prince Claude was a man who flaunted his beauty and talents to all that he met. Oh, crap. To all that he met. He often used his title to get what he wanted. Prince Claude was a selfish man who felt he was entitled to everything that he had. He was vain and often left his castle unattended so that he could avoid his responsibilities. Then one day he chanced upon a beautiful maiden in the town square. He led her around the whole day, being as charming as he possibly could, and then at the end of the day he asked the woman to be his lover. She agreed, but their time together did not last long. Only weeks later, Prince Claude threw her away as one throws away an object and broke the woman's heart. And she cursed him. That beautiful maiden was a witch, but Prince Claude found out too late. The witch said that she would make his beauty, his vanity, a curse. To make even beauty a curse. Ashamed of being cursed, Prince Claude donned a disguise and left his kingdom behind. He has been gone for nearly a year now, and most probably assume he is dead. But in truth, the prince had come to Angiel seeking a way to break his curse. He had heard of a young lady named April, who, on her 18th birthday, could dispel any curse. Oh, Karma. He looks so sad. I don't know how to comfort him. Claude. Oh. Karma, Claude, turns a startling red as he stares at me, and for a few moments he does not speak. Then he bursts out laughing. I stare at him in shock, not understanding his reaction. I feel myself flush. Isn't that your real name? No, darling, it is, but hearing you say my name, well, it sounds so much softer out of your lips. I rather like it. My cheeks are warm again. How is it that he is always able to make me feel this way? I will call you by that name if it makes you so happy. Let's make it a secret between the two of us. I'm still Miss Karma here. Besides, I'd rather you kept that name for my ears only. Makes me feel more special that way. He and Rumple really are the same. I mean, Rumple and Chevalier and him and Karma and Claude. It's so interesting how similar they are. More special. At that moment, Garland shows up for practice and Claude politely excuses himself. I watch the two of them trade blows. Claude favors his other hand, but his blows still come quickly, even with his injury. The more Claude tells me, the more I realize that he's like me, a noble curse for being selfish. But how do I help break his curse? Why can't he tell me? As practice is drawing to a close, Claude asks Garland the usual question. Have you confessed to Jurian yet? Garland only shakes his head in reply. The two men sheathe their swords. Garland looks almost sad as he turns to make his way back to the tavern. He likes her and yet he won't say anything. Why is that frustrating me so much? Garland! Yes, Princess? Well, clearly, you have to tell Jurian. You have to tell her. This might be a wrong choice, but I don't even care. He needs to tell her. Claude told me before that confessing is hard, but what Garland is going through looks even harder. Princess, you know I'm incapable. No, you think you're incapable, but if you never say anything to her, you'll never know. If I say something wrong, I risk losing everything I already have with her. And if you say nothing, you risk losing what you could have with her. Thank God! See? I've got it. Maybe the first chapter was just not intuitive. Or something. April is right. Maybe you should really listen to her, Garland. But before Claude was adamant that Garland shouldn't confess to Jurian, what changed? If I mess this up... let's try looking at it through another lens. Imagine that Jurian is April. How do you think she would like to be confessed to? I frown at the two men, arms crossed. Excuse me. Well, you and Jurian are very similar. You're both very straightforward. Confess to the princess. My eyes move to Claude, but only fleetingly before they are once again on Garland. You just need to do something simple, Garland. Something that will not rub her the wrong way. A maiden's heart is ever fragile, and each woman is different. Claude is wearing an amused smile on his face, but he is looking at me, not Garland. I feel my face flush and have to look away. April, you're tomato red again. It's adorable. Ugh. I cross my arms over my rapidly beating heart again and force a scowl onto my face. No, I was just thinking about what Garland could do. Something simple, like when Karma kissed my hand. Garland kissing Jurian's hand is probably not a good idea. Maybe he could do what Claude and I did that one day in town. He could buy her some food and they can just talk. Garland, have you ever just asked Jurian out for food? Not alone. Jurian is practical and she always eats at the tavern. She's also always on duty if she's available. I'll take her patrol shift 2 nights from now, and tomorrow you can ask her out for a meal. We can make your invite a grand affair. We can drape banners on the walls, or I could give you a rose. That sounds like a terrible idea. I am offended. I feel like if I did something like that for Jurian, she would get embarrassed and punch me. Sounds like another lady I know. Claude grins at me, but I just roll my eyes. Garland, just ask her normally, and then when you are out and alone together, you can confess. And we'll make sure that you have the time to do it. I'll purposefully come late to practice tomorrow night so you can ask her out for that date. How does that sound? You two really think I can do this? You just have to ask the question. Whatever follows will at least be an answer. Tomorrow night, then. Good man. I'm sure it'll go swimmingly. Or I could drown. You won't drown, Garland. Garland excuses himself with a nervous smile before Claude turns to me expectantly with a mischievous grin. Now, April, we'll come here early tomorrow and spy on them. We'll need to scope out a good spot. Spy on them? Of course, we need to make sure that our efforts pay off. I don't think we should. You don't want to see how it plays out? I mutely shake my head, unable to put my emotions into words. No, I want to see how it pays off. Claude, you and I are on the same wavelength. For some reason, I am imagining myself in Jurian's position. It feels too personal. Claude's likeliness suddenly springs to mind, and I feel my face grow hot again. April, you've been oddly out of it today. Claude reaches out a hand toward me and then abruptly pulls away. I stare as he smiles at me almost sheepishly. The conversation between us dies and we return to the Marchen. Days passed, and though I did not spy on the conversation between Jurian and Garland, I noticed that Garland has been smiling from ear to ear during his practice with Claude recently. I can only assume that his confession went well. Claude took the patrol shift tonight, and as I lie in bed, I am restless. Every time I watch Claude practice with Jurian and Garland, I'm reminded of the palace, of Fritz. I wonder how Fritz is doing. Is he still practicing with the other knights? My thoughts darken as I recall the kidnappings. Claude had to save me every single time. He got injured saving me. Unable to sleep, I slip out of bed and make my way to the reception room. The night air is cool, and no one stops me from standing just outside the Marchen. I cannot just sit back and do nothing anymore. I have to act. I do not want Claude to get hurt because of me again. Eventually, I see Claude approach. He looks tired and is moving more slowly than usual, but when he sees me, his lips quirk into a smile. April, what are you doing out here tonight, love? Love? Love instead of darling. That's new. Hello, Claude. His face is dark red again. Ah! If you're using my real name, I suppose you've come to ask for something serious. How could he know that? I do need to ask something of you. Well, if you need a shoulder to cry on, I'm right here, love. What? Oh, is this not about... never mind. I'm asking if you would be my instructor. For some reason, I seem to have caught Claude off guard. He stares at me for a few moments. What? I want to learn how to use the sword, and I want you to be my instructor. Claude's expression becomes uncharacteristically serious. I'd rather you didn't learn how to use a sword. I do not want you to have to keep protecting me. I don't mind protecting you. I do. Claude sighs and shakes his head. Princesses shouldn't be using swords. I want to be able to stand on my own 2 feet. You are. I do not want you to get hurt again when I could do something about it. Teach me, please. Claude. Once again, he flushes. It seems to be an instant reaction, and it is both amusing and endearing. It won't be easy. I wasn't expecting it to be. Claude stares at me for a long time before finally letting out a heavy sigh. Fine, I'll train you. You won't learn in a day, but I can teach you the essentials. You can use one of the knight's training swords. Thank you. Music to my ears. Meet me in the clearing in 10 minutes. 10 minutes? What? You said you wanted to train, so we will. Don't expect me to go easy on you. But aren't you tired? He looked exhausted when he came in, and now he wants to train? Already trying to get out of training? I am not. Claude shakes his head, but he is smiling. I'll see you there in a few minutes, love. Ooh! Oh my goodness. Moonlight spills through the leaves, illuminating the forest with gentle light. Long minutes pass as I stand in the clearing. I begin to feel restless. It isn't like Claude to be late. Is he tending to his injury? I hear a rustling in the leaves and turn immediately to see what the disturbance is. But the minute I do, I am pulled back by a strong force and my world goes dark. No! Before I can scream, I hear a gentle voice in my ears. Lesson 1, April. When apprehended by an enemy you can't see, remain calm and use your 5 senses to judge how best to get the upper hand. The voice is coming from right behind me. There he is! Claude. I become aware that this is the closest he's ever been to me, with my back pressed to his chest like this. Panicking disorients the mind, and that's why you must remain cool under any circumstance. Ah! How could I not panic? Any normal person would panic, so I try to force myself to be calm. Lesson 2. Enemies will often let down their guards when they think they have the upper hand. Catch your opponent off guard by remaining calm and locating this weakness with your senses. I try to calm myself as Claude instructs, but I feel it is a bit easier, but only because I know it is Claude. An opening. I move as quickly as I can, stepping forward so that I can swing an elbow back at Claude's stomach. Before that happens, Claude has pulled me back to him, closing whatever distance I had put between us. In the process, he moves his hand from my eyes to my mouth. I can once again see the forest, but my words are muffled beneath his hand. Another thing to remember, you won't always be able to catch your enemy off guard by throwing punches or hits at them. Your opponent will usually always be stronger than you, April. Remember what I said about a weakness. Enemies will often let their guards down when they believe they are winning. Just like I have. An opening. A thought occurs to me as I glance around at me and then down at Karma's bandaged hand. Karma's bandaged hand is over my mouth. Is this an opportunity or a trick? Oh no! What will you do, Princess? What kind of tactic would remove you from my grasp? Well, biting his injured hand, obviously. But that would hurt him. Oh God. I know this is the right choice. Ugh! I'm going to feel terrible about this, but I have to try. I already do feel terrible. I shift my head to get enough space to bite down, and even Claude cannot hold me completely still as I squirm. Eventually, the hand over my mouth moves just enough for me to open my mouth, but I falter. I cannot bite the hand that I injured. Unable to do anything else, I mutely shake my head and hear Claude groan. In one swift motion, he pushes me down to the ground, pinning my hands by my head as he frowns at me. You're not even going to try to find an opening? I glare at him. I'm not going to bite your hand. Ugh. Bite my hand? I didn't even think of that. But you made it obvious. You put your hand over my mouth. I'd meant for you to try moving my hand. Pushing back a person's thumb usually causes their grip to loosen. How was I supposed to know that? I knew it was right. I got nervous then when I didn't, but I knew it was right. It was... The game was leading me there. Experience is the best means of practice, as they say. I have a complaint about that particular lesson, but I withhold it. That was a pretty good attempt, love, but not good enough, I'm afraid. I wasn't expecting for you to come at me like that. I was expecting sword practice. You weren't expecting a man to kidnap you in the alleyway, were you? I glare up at him, unable to say anything because he is right. You're oddly quiet. It is hard to find an opening to hurt you when you are not really my enemy. He does not move, but continues to stare at me. His face is close to mine. Close enough to... Close enough to what, exactly? April, do you trust me to protect you? That's not the point. I need to be able to protect myself. Because you're planning on investigating the witches on your own? No, I want to be able to protect myself because I do not want you getting hurt protecting me. Claude leans down and I can feel his hair at my cheek. For a few moments, everything slows to a stop, and all I can hear is my heartbeat and his slow breathing. Once you've set your mind to something, you really don't let it go, do you? Claude pulls away from me before I can respond, and he's standing again, offering me a hand. Let's get started with some sword work then. The pleasant smile is back on his face. I can never tell what he's thinking at times like these. What are you really like, Claude? Aww! Oh, there we go. That's the end of this one. Aww! Aw, Karma is so sweet. I love that, okay, so I'm really happy that the game led me to take a step back. I like it when the princess, like, tells me what she wants, and that way I can do it and, like, get the right answer sometimes. Because, like, backing away, you know it's because of his curse. You know it's because he's used to everyone throwing themselves at him, like, dangerously so. That seeing that I have the ability to step back probably made him feel really good. And that was really cool. Really great character moment. Oh, I loved it. I loved it. Okay, well, feel free to subscribe, like, comment, ring the little bell down below for notifications on when I post a new video, and hopefully I'll see you guys next time.